Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine. With over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. And Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Friday, the 15th day of March 2018. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable night. Those of you who are on the road, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, bicyclist, or motorcyclist, whether you're operating a vehicle on the road as well, we again urge you to be extremely cautious, observe the rules of the road, and bear in mind that the life you save may just be your own. I want to thank you, our listening and viewing audience, for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There's always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where you can leave us a text message or send us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And you also can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Before I introduce my guest this morning, I want to, in advance of her birthday, which is going to be on Sunday, the 17th of March, wish Mrs. We call her Miss Lina. I think her name is actually spelled Lina. We call her Miss Lina, the Caymanian pronunciation, Miss Lina Smith. She was born on the 17th of March, 1923, so she will be 96 years old on Sunday. Miss Lina, she was 9 years old when the 1932 hurricane devastated the Cayman Islands, between 9 and 10 years old, right? She's still, at 96 years old, she's still cooking her famous fish rundown. She still is able to make coconut oil as well. Wow. And one of her sayings one of her sayings is, if hard work could kill anyone, I would have been dead a long time ago. And another one of her sayings, whenever she was talking to you, she would look up and say, "You better believe it. You better believe it." So, Miss Lina, on Sunday, when your birthday comes, we want to wish you a happy 96th birthday, and may you live to see as many more as you want to see. With that, my guest in the studio, he's not 96 years old yet, but probably hoping to be, as long as he has all of his mental faculties and everything as well. The Honorable D. Ezzard Miller, Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Miller, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to the listening. I came on more than halfway there, but not quite yet. But it's good to be here, and I look forward to a productive day, and it'll be interesting to see what the people want to talk about.
Yep. Lots to talk about, as a matter of fact. You did some traveling between the last appearance on here.
Yeah, and back to school.
Today, tell us about that trip.
Well, it was a very interesting 3-day seminar. It was very productive. I personally learned quite a bit. And the good thing about this was very similar to the one that was held in February 2017. Was that all of the overseas territories were represented. Even the Pitcairn Islands were there.
Okay.
And it was the team from each island was, and specifically from Cayman was, we had the internal auditor represented. We had the external auditor in the form of the auditor Office of the Auditor General. We had the Public Accounts Committee in the form of myself as chairman and the clerk of the Public Accounts Committee, Ms. Davina. And so it was it was very interesting discussion. There were times when we broke off into groups. We had a mock hearing and stuff based on what I thought when I read it had to be fiction, right? But was in fact building in some art centers that were built in Northern Ireland, right? And one of them had a 91% overrun.
What?
Right? But it was very interesting. I enjoyed it, and we got some new techniques to question people and how to design questions and get information and stuff like that. So it was a very productive 3 days.
Okay, and this was put on by whom?
United Kingdom, CP, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and the National Audit Office.
Yes.
Right. So we had an MP from England. I don't remember the county that he represented, and then we also had a Scottish lady who was one of the MPs that was represented, and then we had people from the audit office itself. So it was very productive. One interesting thing was that Cayman is basically, not to boast, but in terms of the role that the Auditor General plays and the effectiveness of the internal audit. And the Public Accounts Committee, we're basically the gold standard in the region. We're ahead of most of the other places. I mean, it was interesting, for instance, to learn that a place like, which we look as being a modern overseas territory, Gibraltar, they don't even have a Public Accounts Committee. And some of the other overseas territories in the Caribbean, the Public Accounts Committee is largely ineffective, because in some of the territories you have one person in opposition and everybody else is with the governing party. Yes. And that person happens to be chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, but it's very difficult to hold a Public Accounts Committee because everybody else is on the government bench. But they're moving forward in the right direction. So it was a very productive thing.
Okay. Now, speaking of the role of the Auditor General, and we have had several characters here as Auditor General, some who have chosen to just put their nose to the grindstone, do their work, make their reports to the Legislative Assembly, and then some who have chosen to take a more public profile.
Flamboyant.
Yes.
Well, I endured the transition from where, when I first took over the Public Accounts Committee in 2009, we had the unacceptable situation where the government hadn't did accounts for 5 years, I believe it was. We had some 14 or 15 Auditor General's reports that had not been dealt with by the PAC. You had a situation where the PAC, instead of doing its work, simply gave Mr. Dan Duque carte blanche to deliver the reports to the LA, and 2 days afterwards to make them public in whatever fashion he saw fit. And he played a role, but it was a very confrontational environment when I came in. I recall quite vividly the first day I went to meet with him and to introduce myself as the new chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. And he launched into this lecture, right? And about 10 minutes into it, I said to him, "Stop." He says, got kind of upset,
Mm-hmm.
"What do you mean stop?" I said, "Stop. I think there's a serious misunderstanding here." "What could that mean?" I says, "Well, I get the distinct impression that you think that I work for you. I think it needs to be made absolutely clear that you work for me.
Mm-hmm.
You report to me. I don't report to you." So that got us off in the wrong direction, so to speak. But we eventually calmed it down, and we have moved. And again, I tell everybody that we always jump on the civil service, and everybody's always willing to criticize the civil service, right? But the civil service, collectively, took us from no accounts for 5 years in 2009 to 2017. We had 37 of the entities in government out of 42 got unqualified audits. Now, the work to come from that position of no accounts, right, and everybody getting disclaimed accounts in 2009, 2010 when we were trying to do the backlog, to a situation where 37 of the 43 entities in government got unqualified accounts is the sole responsibility of the civil servants. And I give kudos to Mr. Franz Manderson, who took it upon himself, right, to require the civil service to make the adjustments and to do the work. And it's good that we're in that position. We've moved from that confrontational, unsuccessful, blame, not getting anywhere, to what we have today in Ms. Sue Winspear and I, which is a very collaborative approach to correcting the problems in the civil service. And so we went through Mr. Dan Duque with all of the animosity and confrontational stuff. Then came along Mr. Starborg, and he was caught up in a little bit of that because the press expected him to perform the scene because the media likes that kind of environment, right? To Ms. Winspear, who has worked both sides of the coin, understands the political implications. And you notice now that in all the reports, she issues a press statement, I issue a press statement as chairman of account. And we got to the stage now when she brings her report to Parliament, she has already gotten commitment from the entities that she's reporting on to take certain corrective action in certain time frames. Yes. And we're now to the stage where we can actually have the audit office review the implementations and monitor that the implementations are in fact being done. And even that in itself, it is fair to say that most of the entities in the civil service have done their best and have implemented many of the recommendations that the audit office, Auditor General, and the public accounts have been made. There's only basically two ministries that we're having trouble with at the moment, and we expect that they are in fact moving in the right direction as well.
That's a good news, very, very good news story. We have one caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Mr. Ezzard. I'm happy you're on this morning. I really didn't know you were on the radio this morning.
You mean you wouldn't have called if you knew I was on?
No, but, I just heard you briefly speaking of something last week, so I just wanted to address it quickly.
Uh-huh.
And what I was calling about, how many elected members are there in the Cayman Islands?
19.
Okay, 19 elected members, right?
Uh-huh.
On the 20th, we have a public holiday. I'm hearing that your members are not invited to meet the prince at the airport. It's just
that's not true. That's not true.
It's not true?
No.
Okay.
I could tell you now what Ezzard knows, right? It is my understanding that the Premier, the Governor, will meet him at and the Speaker will meet him at the bottom of the stairs of the plane. When he comes into the building, he'll be met with by the Deputy Premier, other members of Cabinet, and myself will be introduced to him as leader of the opposition. other MLAs are all invited to that function, but they will not be presented to the Prince there. Some will be presented at the function at the Botanic Park, right? Others will be presented at the function at Pedro St. James the next day.
So why can't 19 of you be lined off to meet him on the airport? You don't have to introduce yourself, but he will know that you are members of.
No, but it wouldn't look. I don't know. That's a decision that is beyond my pay grade, and it has to do with logistics and all these other stuff, right? And I wouldn't want to be invited there as an MLA to stand up in line and not be presented to the Prince. So I think it's just a matter of spreading it around and the logistics of having everything done, because everything is very, very concise in a short period of time.
Okay, another question, right? Are they doing a cleanup before he gets in?
Well, I'm sure they are. I went to the Botanic Park yesterday, and they're doing a great job on that. All of the driveway and everything, all the trees that were hanging out the road had been cut back, and so, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to drive up there. I mean, I don't think you're going to fly him up there. Another statement, on the Queen's Highway, the Queen Monument is a mess. I'm sure Mr. Connor...
That's being looked after. That's being looked after.
Cycling cross every morning.
Yeah, it's being looked after. Okay. It's all been cleaned up with Clorox and everything else already, and they're removing all the dead bush from around and everything else.
Okay, just my concerns, because it's...
No, it's just our country is going to be on show, and we got to put the best side out. I agree with you.
Yeah, like what you said, a country that prays together stays together.
But that depends on what you pray for.
So you all have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much. Good time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
It is fair to say that the storm of 1932 caught the Cayman Islands off guard. Long assumed that the hurricane season finished in October, yet Grand Cayman was not hit until November 7, 1932 by the storm which would ravage the islands. Furthering the confusion was that the storm had previously passed well south of the islands before changing course and reversing to the northeast. As Captain Keith Tibbetts told afterwards, none of the old sea captains would agree that it was coming here because it never had been known for a hurricane to travel on a course of east to north. After striking Grand Cayman with significant damage, including the sinking of the Balboa off of Georgetown, the storm passed directly over the sister islands, causing total havoc and catastrophic losses. Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years.
That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than the Honorable Ezzard Miller, Leader of the Opposition. I believe we have a caller, so we're going back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hey, good morning, Osty. Good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning. Good morning.
I just heard the lady talking about cleaning up and, whatever. But I went on the down on Barefoot Beach about it, not even 2 weekends ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right off the Queens Highway.
Right. Uh-huh.
And I tell you, the garbage, if I had garbage bags, I would have cleaned it up myself, but I didn't. And I don't live there. I live in West Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I posted it on Facebook, but Facebook didn't post the whole story.
Yeah.
But it is terrible. It is a mess. I mean, if you see the garbage that has floated in, and I mean, it looks like it's floated in because it doesn't look like the mud is still everywhere.
One of the good things that the Sargasso weed is doing is it's sweeping up all of that plastics in the ocean and bringing it ashore.
Yeah.
All the garbage is coming ashore with the Sargasso weed locked up into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'll probably cost the government a fortune to try and clean up all the beaches on the north, in particular the north and the east side of the island. But it's a mess. But most of us private people try to keep our little sections clean, and Barefoot Beach is private.
That's what I'm saying. That belongs to Dart. Not saying that. I mean, because I'd like to walk on that too, even though it belongs to him, his property.
But actually, the area where the garbage from the Sargasso, from the seaweed is public property. Not in the fact that we have a prescriptive right to use it. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the government needs to make some effort to clean some of it up.
Yeah, it is really a mess.
Mm-hmm.
But caller, you still there? If you're still there, I believe only there was a weekend about a month and a half ago where that beach was cleaned up, because I recall seeing something in the papers where the governor was actually going up there to assist with the cleanup in that specific area too, caller.
Do something with its plastics,
yes.
and some environmental group.
Yes, caller, you recall that?
Yeah, this coming Sunday would be 2 weeks since I've been there.
Yeah.
So if that was the case,
that was before longer than 2 weeks ago.
My father lives on the beach, and I can tell you that we could use one of these rakes on that, one of these hydraulic rakes on that beach every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we clean it up quite often, but I mean, it has almost, to keep it the way it should be kept, it would be a daily exercise.
Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd, in case they want to take him out on the Anyway, you take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But that caller highlights a point which means that we have to continue to monitor those beaches, and maybe the what are they called? The rangers for DOE, when they're out there looking for people who are breaking the law, may not be a bad idea for them to take note of the conditions of the beaches there and report those in to the Recreation and Parks unit to let them know about that as well. You can serve an additional role, doing that as well. So not a bad idea. I hope someone is listening and takes that idea on board.
Oh, I can guarantee that they're listening. I don't know if they're taking an action, but if I say anything wrong, they're going to know.
We're going to switch gears for a minute. We have about 5 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news.
Yep.
On Wednesday, I was talking about the elections in the British Virgin Islands and the fact that the person who had been elected to represent the 4th district in the British Virgin Islands, Mark Vanderpoel, had submitted his resignation, and that the governor had indicated that a by-election would have to take place. We see some dramatics taking place in the British Virgin Islands now, where the same Mark Vanderpoel has now basically tried to withdraw his resignation. The speaker at one point in time seemed to have accepted it and then pointed out to him that he had already accepted. There were some technicalities, whether or not, because it seems as if initially it may have been given to the governor or given to the clerk. The Virgin Islands Constitution says that one way for a member to vacate his seat is to submit his resignation in writing, addressed to the speaker. Seems as if this may play out in a court of law later on, but the speaker has basically said the way forward now is a by-election. He has accepted the resignation. Brings back memories.
Yeah. I was there.
Tell us about it.
Well, and again, that is going. I can tell you that the legal QCs in the Eastern Caribbean will be salivating over who's going to get to represent the two parties there, and that's would be a very interesting intellectual legal arguments now as to who's right in that situation. Yes. But the only resignation during a non-election year that I'm aware of was when Mr. Franklin Smith resigned from the LA, and under our constitution at the time, the resignation had to be presented to the governor. But at the time that he handed it to the governor was acting as president of the Legislative Assembly. So the resignation became effective at 4:30 when the governor was
no longer
president of the Assembly, but governor. And then it could not be withdrawn after that.
Yeah.
So it could have been withdrawn during that. I believe that there was probably a legal argument that it could have been withdrawn before the House was adjourned at 4:30. Then he went back to being governor instead of president of the Legislative Assembly, because our Constitution at that time required that the resignation be addressed to the governor.
And one of the interesting facets of this situation in the BVI was that at the time that Vanderpoel submitted his resignation, which I believe was somewhere around about the 5th of March, there was no speaker. There was no speaker at that point in time. The House of Assembly, was only sworn in on
it's going to be interesting to see what weight is placed on the fact that he resigned prior to being sworn in and was not sworn in.
Right. Yes. All of that is going to come into the legal argument. All of that will come into it. Yeah. Extremely, very, very, very interesting.
Yep.
So we'll see how that plays out. But it seems as if almost in every situation now, there is once an election has taken place, there is always some constitutional challenge, relating to an election, whether it be citizenship or something else. It continues to take place in many jurisdictions these days. Very interesting. We've reached that time, top of the hour, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news, which will take about between 10 and 12 minutes. So don't change that dial. We have lots to talk about with the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable D. Ezzard Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
the voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Cayman Airways has an update after its decision to voluntarily suspend operating its two Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft. The airline says it has been successfully implementing a series of contingencies and schedule adjustments to facilitate the accommodation of all of its passengers. Radio Cayman's April Cummings has more.
Customers whose flights are affected in any way by the airline's modified schedule are being contacted by the airline systematically on a flight-by-flight basis in advance of their departure date. Cayman Airways Executive Vice President and CFO Paul Tibbetts says the modified flight schedule allows most flights to be operated at or near their originally scheduled times, and flight cancellations have so far been limited to only one rotation for New York and Miami per week, with those passengers being protected on other flights. Since they're not certain about the length of time the Boeing 737 MAX 8 will remain out of service, they say they're making contingency plans and schedule adjustments to address the next 4 weeks of operation and beyond if necessary. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Denver flights will continue to operate as planned, either with the airline's Boeing 737-300 aircraft or with a substitute aircraft provided by a contracted carrier. On some legs of the Denver flights, the Boeing 737 aircraft may require a short en route fuel stop depending on the passenger loads and atmospheric conditions, but this is expected to be minimal. If passengers hold upcoming bookings and have concerns regarding their flights, they can call the Cayman Airways reservation number at 1-800-GCayman or 949-2311. And today marks World Sleep Day, and just in time for the global observance, Health City Cayman Islands recently completed 750 sleep studies.
It has been a great experience. There's been a wide variety of patients whom we've been able to help so far, to reach out and to be able to help people who really were not even aware they had a problem. But it's been a good learning curve for us, where we've realized of course, reinforced what we read in literature, and we've been able to reinforce that information that, people are really unaware of what kind of sleep disorders they may have.
Head of Sleep Disorders team at HCCI tells Radio Cayman the hospital is ready, willing, and able to help patients with sleep disorders to regain health and restorative sleep. Between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. today, Health City is offering free tours of the sleep lab and free screening assessments. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News. 49 people have been killed in gun attacks on 2 mosques in Christchurch in New Zealand. 4 people have been arrested, one of them charged with murder. An Australian national who's among the suspects had posted a white supremacist anti-immigrant manifesto online. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern called the assaults well-planned terrorist incidents. She said the perpetrators had no place in the world. Many of the victims were immigrants. Ms Ardern said such people had come to New Zealand as it offered them religious freedom. Others killed or believed to have died were from Bangladesh, India and Indonesia. World leaders have condemned the attacks. Queen Elizabeth says she's deeply saddened by the appalling events. North Korea says its leader Kim Jong-un is considering breaking off talks on nuclear disarmament with the Trump administration, and that Pyongyang won't yield to the current US demands. The Vice Foreign Minister singled out the US Secretary of State and National Security Advisor for criticism, blaming them for whipping up hostility. The de facto Deputy Prime Minister of Britain, David Lidington, has said a disorderly Brexit is now less likely after Parliament voted to ask other EU countries for a delay. All 27 must agree, otherwise the extension won't be possible. Large crowds of people are gathering in the Algerian capital for the 4th consecutive Friday of demonstrations. They're demanding rapid political changes. They have already forced President Bouteflika to drop his bid for re-election. A strong tropical storm has battered the coast of Mozambique, cutting off hundreds of thousands of people. Cyclone Idai caused extensive damage before moving inland. Young people in Europe are joining school children in many other countries in a global day of protest against climate change. They're demanding world leaders act on global warming for the sake of future generations. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, friend, colleague, husband.
You and everyone you love can join the fight against diabetes. March 16th at 6 a.m. Join the management and staff of Soul Cayman and Esso service stations on a 5K walk or run to benefit the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association. Registration forms available at any Esso station. T-shirt collection from Barkham service station only. Early bird $10. General registration is $15. Follow Soul Cayman on Facebook for more details.
The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Radio Cayman's premier health show,
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush,
is brought to you on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on 89.9 and 93.9 FM. Proudly brought to you by the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association. For more information on how you can become a member or the benefits of the CICSA, please visit www.cicsa.ky. For your convenience, the CICSA offices are open on Mondays from 9 to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m.
For the Health of It, with Tara Bush.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This week at Kirk Home Center, dine in style with Sonoma's 16-piece dishware set for $85.89. Available in steel blue, ivory, turquoise, and red. Find 11-piece stainless steel knife sets for $10.09 and 20-piece stainless steel cutlery sets for $39.99. Install a bathroom exhaust fan for $18.89 and stay safe with a hallway smoke alarm complete with a 10-year battery life for $39.89.
Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after.
BritK protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after.
Visit britk.ky or call 949-8699.
BritK, where people come first.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 79 degrees. Relative humidity is 87%. Barometric pressure 30.02 inches and rising. The wind is east at 5 knots. Overnight low temperature was 72. Synopsis indicate moderate easterly winds and seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours, associated with a weak pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west. The forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 80s. Your winds will be easterly at 10 to 15 knots and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Forecast for tonight calling for pretty much the same, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of overnight showers. Temperatures falling to the mid-70s. Your winds will be easterly 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. High tide will be this morning at 8:41, low tide this afternoon at 2:50, and a high tide again tonight at 8:43. Sunset 6:34. Sun will rise in the morning at 6:34 as well. Outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning. Busy traffic coming from the east on Shamrock Road. Also on the Linford-Pearson Highway, traffic is heavy, so delays expected and a lot of patience. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, steady traffic, but flowing. and traffic is also busy in some sections of Crew Road. Other sections, traffic is steady, and steady traffic coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way as well. A little steady traffic on Huldah Avenue, traffic flowing moderately on Thomas Russell Way. As we look at what's happening on the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions, as well as on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive. Further in town on Edward Street and Shedden Road, traffic is moderate. Coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, no issues as traffic is flowing pretty good. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. Have a good morning and buckle up.
The Department of Environmental Health is committed to picking up your garbage. To avoid delays, please place all of your household garbage in large bags. Do not overfill garbage bags or place loose trash in containers. These risk lengthy stops, which in turn lead to greater delays. Inform your neighbors too. Their poorly packed garbage will delay your pickup as well. Bag it and bin it. We will collect it. Do your part. We will do ours. Brought to you by the Department of Environmental Health.
It's March Madness on all SUVs at BAM Motor, with SUVs starting as low as $20,500 and savings up to $6,000. Find the SUV that fits your budget and island living style. Choose between the roomy 4Runner, the bold Fortuner, the 7-seater Rush, or that motor's #1 selling SUV, the RAV4, all from Toyota. Or choose the compact EcoSport from Ford. Save now on the best SUV deal ever from Vamp Motors, with savings up to $6,000 and SUVs starting at $20,500. Drive home the deal of the year during Vamp Motors March SUV sale. Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than the Honorable D. Ezzard Miller, Leader of the Opposition. I just want to point out to you that Mr. Miller will be leaving at 9:30, despite the fact that the show will go on until 10 o'clock. He will be leaving at 9:30, so if you have any questions, any observations, you want to ensure that you do that before he leaves at 9:30. Several things we were talking about off-air, Mr. Miller. One, I saw an announcement in the Trinidadian newspaper that the U.S. Embassy in Trinidad has announced that Trinidadians, I think they call them Trinibagians, something like that, including Trinidad and Tobago, right?
If you put them together, yeah.
Yep, will no longer be required to do interviews if they are renewing visas, as long as the visa has not expired for any more than a year, or if it's still in effect, no interview will be necessary. I wonder whether or not they're likely to extend such a policy to the rest of the Caribbean.
I believe that something similar is under consideration for Caymanians in conversations I've had with the deputy governor.
Mm-hmm.
That there's some discussion taking place about it, only for renewals.
Yes.
I think you still have to go and do an interview with your first-time visa, but for renewals, particularly those people who had a 10-year visa.
Okay.
So that would be very good for Caymanians because it would be a substantial savings.
Yes.
Because the airfares to Jamaica, for you to go get your visa and stay in a hotel 2 or 3 nights, you're looking at $1,000 Caymanian for the trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a substantial saving.
Yeah, and
I certainly would support it.
Another interesting move by the Barbadian government, as we know, after the elections in Barbados, the financial position, the financial position of the Barbadian government was in dire straits, really, and many businesses that were owed money by the Barbadian government were not paid. And I see where the Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, has issued a statement, come to an agreement now that if you're owed outstanding money by the government, you can sign a letter agreeing to accept 85%, that's 85 cents on the dollar for whatever is owed, and you can get that money within a matter of days or weeks. If you choose to wait and want the complete 100%, then you have to probably wait another few years before you're able to get that. I think that's a really strategic move on her part.
I would think that most of the business people wanting the cash flow, looking at the way the economy has been going, will probably opt for the 85% because 3-4 years from now the dollar might be worth less than the 80 cents they'll get, 85 cents they'll get now. So it would be wise on their part, I think, to take it, and it would represent a savings to the government.
Very interesting. Now we have a caller. When we come, I'll give you some advance notice in terms of what I'm going to ask you when we return. I'd like your comments on the developments at the Cayman Islands Fire Service, the promotions there, what is taking place, and also get some information from you in terms of your interaction with the Airports Authority as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. It's Johan Moxham. How's it going today?
Fine, sir. How are you?
All right. Just a comment and a few questions. Gents, I understand that we're a proud country and that we always want to put our best foot forward. But isn't it ironic that the country and the government and its agencies can break its neck to beautify the country for the royal visit, but yet those of us that live here every day have to tolerate the dysfunction, mess, lack of garbage being picked up, and the country just looking like it's descending into a third world status. I just find it ironic that somebody can come up from abroad and everybody goes all out. But what about those of us that live here, were born here, going to die here, and pay all the relevant taxes to ensure that the government works? Don't you think we deserve the same sense of urgency and beautification for our own standard of living and peace of mind? Cayman used to be clean, but now apparently it's only important that it's clean when people from abroad come in, which is really unacceptable. But hey, I guess that's called Cayman time.
I agree with you, but we can find a way to pick up the garbage, but according to the law, twice a week from households and stuff. It just doesn't look good.
It's not just garbage. If you drive around certain neighborhoods in Cayman, you have derelict cars that are in yards and on the side of the road for years.
Yep, all illegally.
Years. And no efforts have been made to ensure that gets addressed. But the minute an Englishman or a dignitary shows up, we have to be first world. Let's be first world all the time and not lower our standards, because that's what Cayman has always been.
Yes.
But moving right along, gents, I remember asking you about 2 weeks ago, Mr. O.C. as a former cabinet secretary, and I know you've held senior positions, is there anything in the public service management law that allows senior civil servants to advocate, lobby, and to do advertisements for government policy when I've always understood that there's a clear separation, or there's supposed to be a separation, between elected government and the policies they pursue and those responsible for the implementation? You guys had mentioned that you were going to look into it. I was wondering if you've had any luck with that. The other question, Mr. O.C., when you went riding with your riding buddy there, did you bend his ear about potentially having a national debate on things like the cruise berthing facility? Because if we can have a national debate on an iconic tower, and granted, it's not my money, so I don't really care, don't you think something that we're going to actually pay for should merit a substantive sort of national debate? And talking about national debate, second question, Mr. Ezzard, has there been any sort of update from the FCO about these clandestine sort of negotiations that you guys were having with regards to constitutional amendments? We haven't heard anything from that. So, and my third question is, isn't it interesting that a country like Barbados, that has an established form of direct taxation, large population, brilliant people, natural resources, they've reached a stage where they're having to offer people 85 cents on the dollar, and they have revenue streams. Yet, we are committed to pursuing multiple major expensive capital works projects that we don't know how we're going to pay for it, but we're moving along full steam ahead. It would be sad if the Cayman Islands turned out in the same financial position as Jamaica, Barbados, Bermuda, but everything done in darkness must come to light. So I'd like to get your opinion on that from the two of you. and I'd wish you guys a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moxon, for that. I tried to mentally note all of the questions.
Well, I wrote most of them.
The last one first. I think Barbados and many countries find themselves in financial difficulties because money, in many instances, misappropriated, used for the wrong purpose, as opposed to them, say, starting a project and not finishing it because of financial reasons or an economic downturn or something of that nature. And I just want to respond to him on the cycling part of things, that we're so busy taking in the scenery when we go riding that we don't really have time to talk politics.
Right. and the volume at which you'd have to talk, I would probably hear it when you cross my house, right? Because the noise the tires make on the asphalt.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree with you, but I think he has a valid point in terms of whether we overextend ourselves in capital projects, especially controversial ones like the port, in terms of whether our economy will be able to wear it or not.
Yeah.
And I'm still questioning, and I'm still waiting on the minister and the chairman of the procurement committee to explain to the public how it is possible that the government has tendered and accepted and is about to accept bids, if they're not already accepted them, from 3 entities who are included. Part of that tender was 100% financing with no government guarantee and no input from government. Why the government, and under what legal authority is the government out announcing that it has negotiated funds from various cruise ship companies towards the port? How that's going to fit into the tendering process, I think the country needs an explanation, and I've called before for the minister to come out and explain it, and for the chairman of the procurement committee to do so, because I think I don't understand how that is going to be factored into 100% financing.
We have 2 callers, but we want to try to answer all of Mr. Moxon's questions.
Beautifying the country, I agree with 100%. There is nothing in the public service management law that I am aware that allows senior civil servants to come out and erroneously use wrong information, such as that the port is 40 years old. We have done much over the years and invested millions and millions of dollars into improving the port and the cargo handling facility. And there's nothing in there that allows civil servants to take up those kind of... But
possibly nothing that prohibits it either.
Oh, I believe there's stuff that prohibits it. Certainly government, it might not be specifically said in the law, but it has always been an accepted fact that civil servants, particularly, they can't even sign petitions, right? Much less come out on the airwaves, right, to advocate for government controversial policies.
Yeah, and I still question whether or not the person working as for statutory authority or government company falls within the preview, and you have pointed out before, as well, that the public management and finance law is applicable.
I think because he may not be a civil servant, but he's a public servant.
Yes,
he's a public officer.
Okay.
And so as to that, I have no update on the constitutional negotiation.
But he referred to clandestine.
Well, I don't
use the word clandestine.
I don't think. Well, certainly from my point of view, there's been nothing clandestine about it, because I've come on your show repeatedly and said publicly what I have supported and what I am prepared to support, right? And that I am not adverse to a referendum being held once we decide what we can get.
Yep.
But we need to negotiate something before it can be put to a referendum.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. McPhail.
Minister, Steve McPhail here.
We can hardly hear you. Is the radio going in the background, Doc?
No, Mr. Miller.
Okay.
I want to thank you for the moving presentation that you made, motivating presentation that you made the other evening at the inauguration of the first woman president of UCCI. I think it was the best there, and it was very moving, and it shows your leadership in the community, and it shows that you're on the ball all the time, most of the time. And I think a lot of people were talking about it
Okay, appreciate it. I when given those opportunities, I try to bring hope and aspirations and encourage people to take the opportunities that are there,
Yeah. And what I want to ask you, what was the big kerfuffle with the Honorable Minister of Education? Something happened there. I didn't know. It was obvious that something had happened. And,
I don't know. I am not aware of what the background to that action was or is, right? So I don't know if there was a problem. I am not aware of what the problem was or what, I must say that from a standpoint of the office of a Minister of Education, I was disappointed in the way it was handled.
So were some of we that were in the audience, some of the other honorary doctors, PhDs there, and we thought that she ought to have had one of the roles of one of the two women speakers, because as Minister for Education, I thought that since it's a new president and a new direction, and I knew that she should have been the keynote speaker to outline her vision for the university in the next 10 or 15 or 20 years, where she's going.
Yeah, but she had a very good message in the program itself.
Yes, but that's the program.
Yeah,
the program is quite different from it.
Yeah. But I'm not. Like I say, I don't have any information as to what brought about, and maybe it was justified. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to know, but I don't know. I can't get a head or tail for. But anyway, thank you for standing up.
Doc, before you go, I'm going to ask you to take a look at the situation that is taking place in the British Virgin Islands, where a member of the who was elected submitted his resignation before he was sworn in as a member of the Legislative Assembly, and submitted his resignation initially to the governor when there is no speaker, but the speaker was selected afterwards, and the speaker has accepted his resignation, and he has tried to withdraw the resignation. I'd like you to take a look at the story, what's developing in the British Virgin Islands, and I'd like to get your viewpoint on it at some point in time, maybe next week.
When did that happen?
It's playing out now. It's started to play out in the last few days. Actually, I think from sometime last week was
the 3rd
when,
of March was when he put in his
5th of March was when the resignation was put in. But the real development started to take place day before yesterday and yesterday as well. Mark Vanderpool.
I'll take a look at it, and I'll take a look at the constitutional provisions.
Yes.
How they operate in those kind of situations.
Okay. I'll forward something to you. We have one more caller. Ms. Susan, do we want to take the break, ask the caller to hold on, or do we take the caller? Let's take the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Dorsey, Mr. Miller.
Good morning.
I'll be very brief, just some observation. I would like actually to discuss them after the break. These proposals that are being made by England, that British subjects will be able to come down here and obtain Cayman status, and eventually be to run for election. Is that right?
Well, I believe they want to do away with the whole issue of belongership as well.
Well, they don't. As I understand it, they will not need to be given. Their proposal is they don't even have to get Cayman status. By virtue of being British and getting residence here, they would be entitled to vote and run for office as British citizens, not as Caymanians.
No, Mr. Miller, has anyone considered a British citizen? Many members of the Commonwealth come from all around the world, have gone up to Britain, and their children are now British citizens. So what we are saying is that it could be 20, 30 people from 20 or 30, 40 different countries, all in the Commonwealth, who are now British citizens, who will be able to have this right. And a lot of these people have their own customs and beliefs from their home country, which is very, very different from our beliefs here in Cayman. In fact, all of the dependent countries. People tend to think about, just the white man with top hand and a cane. But we may end up with Indians, Australians, different Africans, different parts of the world who are now British citizens, and they come into Cayman and try to impose or what they believe then is their human rights.
Agreed.
Caller, we have to go to a break now. I want to thank you. Unless you want to hold on until after the break.
He seems to be gone.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break.
Rotaract Blue Cayman Islands Fred Spears Walk Run 2019. Early Sunday morning, March 24 at the Holiday Inn Resort, Crystal Harbor, West Bay Peninsula. Registration begins at 6 a.m. Walkers step out at 6:30 sharp. Runners leap ahead at 6:45 a.m. Your entry fee is only $25 CI. All proceeds go to the Fred Spears Vocational Grant. Visit caymanactive.com/Fred Spears. Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
It's March Madness on all SUVs at BAM Motors, with SUVs starting as low as $20,500 and savings up to $6,000. Find the SUV that fits your budget and island living style. Choose between the roomy 4Runner, the bold Fortuner, the 7-seater Rush, or BAM Motors' #1 selling SUV, the RAV4, all from Toyota. Or choose the compact EcoSport from Ford. Save now on the best SUV deal ever from BAM Motors, with savings up to $6,000 and SUVs starting at $20,500. Drive home the deal of the year during BAM Motors March SUV sale. BAM Motors, Walkers Road.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I think we still have a caller with us. We're going to give that caller an opportunity to wrap up his comments. Caller, you still there?
Yes, I am. Hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just saying that, a lot of nationalities tend to stick together and even live together in certain communities. And we can have a group of people, whether Indians or British or descendants from Australia, living in one of our electoral areas. And by the fact that so many of them are living in that area, it'd be fairly easy for them to get one of their own kind elected, right? And another point is this human rights issue that they keep bringing up. What are the rights of the dependent territories to continue of their way of life, their beliefs that they have had for hundreds of years, and a few people will want to impose their beliefs and their rights, and not just Cayman, the independent countries must change their beliefs, change their way of life because of the desires and wishes of a very, very small minority of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't discuss that, Peter, Mr. Milligan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Let's go to the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I was listening earlier. Obviously, we were talking about the beautification of things. I just wanted to make a quick note. Obviously, we've seen in the past whenever we had royalty visits that we've kind of fixed up the place so we could be, because we were always taught that we was always taught as kids, at least I was, that whenever you leave home you must always leave home with a fresh pair of underwear on and bathe so that people can know that someone is taking care of you, right? And I think that we've carried that on through a lot of things that we've done in life. So I personally don't see anything wrong with fixing up the island for when we have royal visits. But I do take the point of Mr. Malcolm that, that should be something that we do on a regular basis, because that's how we were brought up in any event. But what I would like to do is... hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, if we're going to fix up and if we're going to prioritize certain things in order to create this conception or this perception that we are a first world country, because I know we are a first world country with third world policies, because if you look at our landfill, and I don't know how they plan to hide that from the print, I mean, unless they got one big sheet they can put over it and plant some trees. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that we need to address, because whether we have visits from a royal family or not, these are ongoing issues. We know that the dump is an issue. Nobody is seeing. I mean, we hear all this talk about building all these other projects that are seemingly running not at full capacity, but at the end of the day, there's no real initiative to fix the fundamental things like the dump that we know creating health issues. It's an eyesore. We know that it's getting taller. I mean, you drive across the dump now; it's at least 5 stories high, and yet we have all of this emphasis on things that we don't have yet. Just on the commercial break, I had the pleasure or the displeasure to listen to the ad that was ran by Mr. Joseph Wood, acting director of the port, where he made a very contradictory statement, and I just want to address that and then hang up.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that in order to he went into the extent to say how much money comes across that wharf through cargo and all the things that we do depend on the cargo port. I agree with him on that. But for him to say that we need to upgrade a 40-year-old port so that cruise and cargo can coexist and work more efficiently, the reality is that they both can't coexist. And if our cargo didn't have to shut down during the day and start up during the night because we are trying to coexist on the same wharf, then our cargo facility wouldn't need to be upgraded to run efficiently. It would run efficiently if it had access to it 24 hours a day. The problem is that we're trying to make two entities coexist on one location, which is absolutely impossible. So no matter how many pairs we build out there, no matter how much upgrade we do to it, cargo still cannot be dealt with until 6 p.m. until the cruise ships are gone. That's the reality. So it can't run efficiently 100% unless we have 100% access to it all the time. So we need to stop acting as if we don't need to find an alternative site for one of the either, because we have to. They both can't coexist at the same location and run 100% efficiently, and that's the fact. We can't have cargo activity going on during tendering and cruise ship passengers coming on and off the wharf, and vice versa. So if we're gonna spend money on trying to get proper information out to the public, we should at least get it right and be honest with the Cayman Islands public. Cargo and cruise cannot coexist at the same time on the same wharf at any given time. It has to be separate times. Hence the reason why we have the trucks and the offloading of the barges in the middle of the night. We can't revitalize Georgetown when you got industrial work going on in the heart of Georgetown. It's impossible. So we need to bite the bullet. We need to find a different location for the cargo or the cruise, whichever, and we need to, and that's what we need to focus on. But that's how I see it, and I think it's important that we stop sweeping dirt under the rug and thinking that it don't exist. And that's exactly what we're doing in this case. We're going to clean up some walls and clean up some garbage along the route that the Prince can take, not realizing that his main portfolio is environmental. But yet we're bringing him here to open the airport. Why are we not bringing him here to sit down and have an open debate about whether or not this cruise person is the right thing for us while we're damaging all of the marine life and the things that attract people to come to our shores? But anyway, guys, I'll listen in. And
thanks for the call, man.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much, caller, for that. Mr. Miller?
Well, to go back to the brief, I agree with what the President caller just said. And as I said earlier, I think it is bad enough for civil servants to be out there promoting controversial government policies, which I believe is in contradiction of the civil service rules and regulations. But it is even worse when they give misinformation, because the port is not 40 years old. We have been improving the port all over we just spent a couple of $1 million buying cranes, right, for Highland cargo. So, and we're getting back to the caller before him about the proposals by the Foreign Affairs Committee. As you know, I've called on the Premier for us to take this thing seriously and to have a debate in our Legislative Assembly, similar to what the people in Bermuda did.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and take a country position that is supported by the opposition and the government. Let's just debate this stuff and get some concrete recommendations that we can send to the UK Parliament via the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, which are our direct supervisors, and the Secretary of State. I take no comfort in the fact that it is not being proposed by the executive arm of the Conservative Party. The chairman of this FAC is a Conservative member, and I think it's the majority of the members on the committee are Conservatives. And we know the uproar and the dysfunctional stuff that's going on in the House of Commons, where the executive certainly doesn't control their backbench members anymore. I mean, you have ministers who are now abstaining and not voting for government positions. So I don't think we should just ignore it and hope that they're not going to do nothing about it, you know. But we'll wait and see what happens. In terms of the fire service, I'm delighted to see that we have found 3 Caymanians to promote to the top level of the fire service. It confirms my belief that we never needed to bring in the foreigner to start with.
Yeah, why took us so long?
And why are we still now? We promoted a Caymanian who acted as chief fire officer when the man left with his big paycheck, right? And during that tenure, we have managed to find 3 members that the Cayman is in charge, right, to promote to the next level, right? Now we've seen a paper
one is now acting.
What we want to do is to act.
Yes.
Come on, man, give the guy the job. You know, if you need some technical support, bring the technical support on as a subordinate position to him, so that he can demand knowledge transfer for him and the other people at the top. You know.
Well, I'm not sure the ages of each of those officers, but it would seem to me that you have 3 officers there, and again, an excellent opportunity for succession planning. Right? If they're all equal in terms of
give them a chance
ability,
to act,
right? Or take the older one, out of the bunch. That person becomes the chief fire officer. We know that those younger ones then will be able to replace
and they
that
compete
one
for the position.
Chief. Yes, yeah.
3-4 years from now, when he's about to retire or whatever it is.
Right, then someone else takes.
We got to get away from this business that we believe that every issue we have, we need to bring somebody here to solve it. Homegrown solutions are going to be exceptionally better than imported stuff. Look at the design for the airport. We imported that from Canada. Look at the design for the mental health, which is, in my view, is totally non-functional and can be done for half the price that they're doing it if they would change some of the design and some of the unnecessary non-health delivering functional architectural tank horns that we have onto it to make it look pretty, right? I don't have to tell you, we're not construction people, but you know that it's cheaper to build a 412 roof than it is to build a 1212 roof. Most construction people tell you it's likely to be half the price. Why do we need 12 roofs on these buildings? There's no snow can fall on these buildings in Cayman. They need to run off, But we keep, getting ourselves in these positions and wondering why,
Yeah. Good time for it. Sorry.
We're designing a cruise port with no consideration for the master mariners in our country. And they're all telling us in public forums that what they have out there is going to cause problems. And we see all the accidents that are happening now. There's an article in the media now. They're pulling out of Anguilla. Antigua, sorry. Right.
Yeah, Antigua. Carnival Cruise Lines now will not be making any calls there. And that appears to have, let's take a commercial break and we can talk about that after. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Rotaract Blue Cayman Islands Fred Spears Walk Run 2019. Early Sunday morning, March 24 at the Holiday Inn Resort, Crystal Harbor, West Bay Peninsula. Registration begins at 6 a.m. Walkers step out at 6:30 sharp. Runners leap ahead at 6:45 a.m. Your entry fee is only $25 CI. All proceeds go to the Fred Spears Vocational Grant. Visit caymanactive.com/Fred Spears. Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
It's March Madness on all SUVs at BAM Motors, with SUVs starting as low as $20,500 and savings up to $6,000. Find the SUV that fits your budget and island living style. Choose between the roomy 4Runner, the bold Fortuner, the 7-seater Rush, or BAM Motors' #1 selling SUV, the RAV4, all from Toyota. Or choose the compact EcoSport from Ford. Save now on the best SUV deal ever from BAM Motors, with savings up to $6,000 and SUVs starting at $20,500. Drive home the deal of the year during BAM Motors March SUV sale. BAM Motors, Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore,
Have you ever dreamed about seeing snow or enjoying a family vacation in the majestic Rocky Mountains? Now you can with nonstop flights from Grand Cayman to Denver aboard Cayman Airways. Denver airfares are now on sale from just $380 CI round trip, including taxes and fees. Book by March 18th. Enjoy Wild Wild West and gold mining tours. Catch a sporting game or festival. Discover Denver's unique railroad history and more. Call Cayman Airways reservations on 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
If you would like to have clear and healthy skin, then ask the pharmacist at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor about Proactive and X-Out skincare products. Get your best blemish-free skin ever with dermatologist-developed Proactive. X-Out is a revolutionary doctor-developed acne treatment designed just for teens. This one-step face cleanser works 3 ways to clear up acne. Ask the pharmacist at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor for advice on Proactive and X-Out. Get the skin you've always wanted. Healthcare Pharmacy, Grand Harbor.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Ezzard Miller, Leader of the Opposition. We're talking about Antigua before the tourism situation, cruise line situation in Antigua before we went to the break. So Carnival Cruise Lines was the first to withdraw services from there. And then Holland America, Seabourn have also decided to withdraw the Seabourn Odyssey, Seabourn Sojourn, Volendam, and the Connis Dam, which were expected to bring visitors to the island between November 2019 and April of 2020. The itineraries were listed in an email to them. So in addition to to Carnival, we have these other cruise lines as well. Now, I saw something in one of the releases, not a release, but in one of the newspapers yesterday, and it appears to have something to do with Antigua and Barbuda deciding to use an European company to manage the ports, to operate the ports. And it seems as if this company may be in competition with Carnival and these other cruise lines, why that has taken place. I'll try to find more about that, but that seems to be the case. But what it demonstrates to you is that how fickle the industry can be and how much leverage and control the cruise lines can have. They can make you or break you.
And I can almost hazard a bet, my dollars against your donuts, debt. It is something that some decision that is made that that the government made that they don't like.
Yes, it is. It is definitely related.
And because they don't have the authority. And we can make those decisions now in Cayman because we don't owe them anything. When we get in a place where we owe them $200-300 million, they are going to dictate what happens at our port. And the Caymanians now who are having to settle for 29% of the cost of a tour are going to get even less. There's big confluption. I got a call week before last, from one of the persons who's been in the business with the cruise ships for as long as I can remember, right? He's just been notified by the same Carnival that they're no longer using his company for tours. There's some new company that has been set up, which apparently has some links with Carnival itself through some Mexican conglomeration and some Cayman person who's decided to front for it, right? And they're doing all the tours now, you know? And it's not good. It's not good.
Okay. The other topic that we wanted to talk about was your interaction with the
I came out strongly, and I still object to it. We should never have gotten ourselves in a position where we had to bring in expatriate air traffic controllers. But OC, as you know, my mantra is I don't just complain about something, I try to contribute to the solution, right? Mm-hmm. So when the Airports Authority announced that they were having difficulty finding people to recruit, I took the opportunity to call the SIFEC, Ms. Blackman, and let me be perfectly honest, I got my office manager, Ms. Pat, to call and find out if there were any students in SIFEC who were interested in a career in air traffic control. Mm-hmm. And I told them that the minimum requirements, as I understood it, was maths, English, and geography at O levels, right? In less than a week, we had 10 people interested. So I then called Mr. Mario Ebanks at the CIAA, the Cayman Islands Airports Authority, and said, listen, I got these people interested. Would you like to come along with me? I'm going to try and talk them into looking at a career as an air traffic controller. And he grabbed the opportunity and he brought along Mr. Borges, who was one of the senior air traffic controllers at Caymanian. He brought along Captain Smith, who's just recently retired from Cayman Airways and is now assisting the Airports Authority and certain things.
Okay.
And we had a wonderful interaction with the children and with the young men and women. And it was interesting. We look like we may have the opportunity to recruit easily 5 or 6 people who would meet the criteria and have an interest as air traffic controllers as a career. There were others there who wanted to be pilots. There were there who wanted to be aircraft mechanics. And I've set up a system to keep in contact with these people and these young men and women and try to get them, help them through the whole process. So it has had a good outcome, and it was a pleasant experience to talk to the young people.
Excellent. I'm looking at this Foreign Affairs Committee report. Okay, on the points of friction between the UK and the overseas territories, on the paragraph 6 to 7, belongership and its equivalents are wrong. So they're saying belongership and its equivalent.
One
of the equivalents is Caymanian status or Bermudan status is wrong.
Yeah.
It says, whilst we recognize that OTs are small communities with unique cultural identities, we do not accept that there is any justification to deny legally resident British Overseas Territory and UK citizens the right to vote and to hold elected office. This elevates one group of British people over another and risks undermining the ties that bind the UK and the overseas territories together in one global British family. And this is the recommendation. The UK government should initiate a consultation with the elected governments of the overseas territories and work with them to agree a plan to ensure that there is a pathway for all resident UK and British Overseas Territories citizens to be able to vote. And they're only concerned UK citizens, UK citizens and British Overseas Territory citizens. So what they're wanting is to vote, I got to read the rest, and hold elected office in territories. In its response to this report, the FCO should lay out a timetable for this consultation process and set a deadline for phasing out all discriminatory elements of belongership or its territory-specific equivalent. They're talking about a dateline. You've talked about one too. We should set a dateline and set a date for independence.
And we must manage it. And I feel very strongly that we need to debate this report in our legislative assembly and take some positions on it.
We can't take it lightly. We should not be taking it lightly.
Having invited the public to the Premier to do so, I'm minded if he doesn't do so to try and do it through a private member's motion, but it will not have the same effect. You know?
Yeah.
As if the government brought it and we support them.
Yes, it has to be bipartisan. It's important for
and it'll have more bipartisan authority, where the UK is concerned, if the government brings it and the opposition supports them, than if the opposition brings it and the government is forced to support them for political expediency. Two different things.
Yes.
I have a couple of announcements that I need to make before.
Sure. Okay, we have about a minute before we go to our
I just want to announce that the sports day between the Aidan Wild Primary School and Eastern Primary School takes place today at the Donovan Rankin Playing Field in East End. That our senior citizen program for Northside is now weekly, every Tuesday. And most importantly that I want to make is I want to thank the CL Flowers and Sons Group for their generous donation of blocks to the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Northside. That's very. I want to make sure that we get and I will make arrangements to get proper press release done on it by the minister over the next weekend. But I really appreciate the Flowers Group and their donation of blocks to the church.
Excellent, folks. We're going to headline news 9:00. That is very short. Please stay tuned. Mr. Miller will be with us for another half an hour after headline news. So please stay tuned.
You make me stronger. Oh, come on.
We are Radio Command, and this is how we wake you up.
Sing praises unto God, sing praises. Come on, sing praises unto God, sing praises. Hallelujah. Lord, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Praising me down, yeah. Praise the healer. Praise the healer. Jumping, he's my provider.
Are you ready? Here we go. Set. I feel like running, skipping, running. Feel like skipping.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord. I will go. Born again. Thank God I'm born
weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Maples Group holds another successful bake sale by staff, raising $2,000 for the Alzheimer's and Dementia Association of the Cayman Islands. Since 2013, the group's bake sales have raised more than $12,000, with proceeds supporting other organizations like Feed Our Future, ARC, the Crisis Center, and Meals on Wheels. The police commissioner in Christchurch, New Zealand, says a 20-year-old man has been charged with murder after shootings at 2 mosques. 49 people have been killed and at least 20 wounded in the attacks, which he described as unprecedented and abhorrent. And Paris Jackson says it's, quote, not my role to publicly defend Father Michael against allegations of abuse. The 20-year-old was speaking a week after the broadcast of Leaving Neverland, a documentary in which 2 men accused Jackson of sexually abusing them as children. She wrote on Twitter, "There's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said in regards to defense." She added that she supports her family's efforts to clear his name. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music, and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, Honorable Ezzard Miller, Leader of the Opposition, and I have been corrected and pointed out to me that the word is Trinbagonians. Trinbagonians for Trinidadians and Tobago. Tabagonians.
Yeah.
I think they call them Tabagonians. Yes. Trinbagonians.
Yep. Trinboaga.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit more about that. The Select Committee's report,
right,
and your position on that. Now, what the next stage now is waiting for the UK government to respond,
which is the executive arm of the government, because the political arm is been made public by them.
Yeah, and before we go there, also, it seems as if sometime in December of 2018, the Foreign Affairs Committee did write back to some of the overseas territories who didn't respond to certain sections in relation, one in relation to belongership and the other one in relation to same-sex marriages. And their reasons were because some of it was still being litigated in the courts,
right.
And there are some overseas territories who feel strongly that they do not report to the Foreign Affairs Committee. They're not answerable to the UK Parliament, which I think, to a certain extent, they're constitutionally right about that, even though, they can legislate by orders in council for us.
Part of this report deals with that very fact. And they want them reporting to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, not to the FCO. They want to close the FCO down.
Yeah. Because they feel in many instances that the FCO is leaning to too much towards the overseas territories.
Yes.
But I think the minister has correctly pointed out that in some instances, there are issues that are left to the territories to decide themselves because of their heritage, because of their culture.
But that position, while it is good for us now, can evaporate with a change in minister, right?
Yes.
Because we can remember certain ministers before that insisted that they had the right to do these things to us,
So what is your view in relation to the report, the response that the UK government now has to give in relation to you? Do you think that overseas territories should be involved in that? At least indicate to the FCO.
I don't think
what their position is.
I would hope that before the FCO, who is most likely to be the executive arm of the government that responds to the Foreign Affairs Committee, right, would have dialogue with the overseas territories prior to finalizing their report. But I don't think we should run that risk. I think we should take the initiative, right, and inform the FCO what our position is on every one of those recommendations in that thing, right, and produce a document that is a bipartisan thing and get it there ASAP. I feel strong enough about this that I would support the Premier having a special meeting of the Assembly to deal with it. But the governor himself says, he's not worried about it because it's not the executive arm of government that's promoting it. But the executive arm of government is answerable to the House of Commons and is enabled by the House of Commons and by the Conservative Party, who have the majority in this committee.
And we have seen,
we have seen things that have been floated that we weren't worried about become reality.
Yes.
Because while the government was, in my view, correctly working with the executive arm of government in terms of the information on beneficial ownership and had a memorandum of understanding, which from all indications was working well, right? The renegades in the House of Commons and the House of Lords completely tore that up and took it over and came back with a date for us to have open registry.
Yes.
The same thing can happen with these recommendations.
Yes.
And I firmly believe that we have to become more proactive. We have to be more assertive in what we want for Cayman as the elected government, and not just wait for these people to continue to do things to us.
I agree. I agree with you. Definitely on that. We have no callers at the moment. Any other topic that you want to?
Well, I just want to say briefly that I'm disappointed to hear that the adjacent landowner into the public restroom facilities for Starfish Point has actually filed an appeal to the Planning Tribunal. And trying to continue their effort to stop this much needed facility from being put in. But what his proposal is so ludicrous and laughable that what he wants, apparently, based on the diagram he has submitted to the ministry, is he wants the government to put up a 6-foot high wall, and then he wants us to plant on the first section of it a 5-foot thick line of bushes, right? Then he wants a 15-foot line of bushes between the facility and the beach, and then nearer to the beach he wants the 5-foot line of bushes expanded to 50 feet. We think we can have some kind of cows and goats or something. These are be people, right? Now I can promise him that is not going to happen. I am not going to give up no 15 feet on the boundary to plant bush for him. He can on the other side, he can put up his wall, right? He can plant a 50-foot. He can take half his 100-foot proper and put bush on it. I don't care. But this is not going to happen.
Why is it that people want, when it comes to something that the public can enjoy, these people who want to claim exclusivity and want to be separate and apart from everyone else, why do they choose to come and live in the Cayman Islands? If you want to do that, you go and you do that someplace else. That's not how we are in the Cayman Islands.
Right. You really believe that where he come from, he could do this, right?
Or maybe he could, and he thinks he can get away with it here.
Well, he got a wrong target by the tail now, boy, right? Because that is a facility that is being built to the public. It is being done on Crown land. It's not being done on public open space provided by a developer for the people that in the development. This is being done on Crown land, right? And I will certainly appear before the appeals tribunal with his battery of attorneys, and I'll go solo, because my position by the CPA, after listening to their attorney for some 45 minutes or better part thereof, not a single objection was made in accordance with the development and planning law, which has to do with the building itself and whether it fits the planning law, right? Their objection is to the government policy to put the facility there, and their objection to the facility being put there and that no public beach should go there. And quite frankly, that's not their business.
Okay.
Public policy in the Cayman Islands is determined by the majority of the people who can vote.
We have two callers. Before I go to the call, I just wanted to point out that there's a company that's involved with the Antiguan government. It's called Global Port Holdings, GPH PLC, and that's a company that is partnering with the government to upgrade the cruise tourism experience in Antigua and Barbuda. And it would appear as if the cruise lines that have withdrawn their service and will be withdrawing their service from Antigua and Barbuda are not necessarily in line with Global Ports Holdings. They're probably in competition with each other, and that is why
they're
this
probably
decision is
putting
being
in
made. Yes.
rules that will enhance the tourism experience from the country's point of view, not from the cruise ship point of view.
Quite possibly.
Two
as
different
well.
things.
Yep.
We're doing the complete opposite here.
Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, O.C., and good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm extremely thankful, and you all?
Pretty good. Haven't heard from you in quite a while.
Blessed,
yeah,
sir.
That's okay, man. I keep it quiet and listening. Okay, my name is James Stanley Bice, the third, better known as Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Speaking of garbage, along the shoreline. Now, I am making sure now that I know what I'm saying. When I went to sea in 1959, I joined the ship in Baltimore Dry Dock. And they had a big garbage container strapped to their stern, to the stern.
Right.
The garbage used to go in that. And during a period of time, if you were there an excessive amount of time, a crane would come and lift it off and dump it. Not lift it off, but it got a little latch to it that you just pull, and the garbage comes out in this container they bring.
Right.
Okay. Now, going out to sea, this thing is full again. All of the garbage goes down this container. Then you get out one day from port, maybe 2 days on port, that garbage, the deckhands, the deckhands does this, they goes down there and they unlatch that thing, and this garbage goes in the world's ocean. Okay. But that's been from that time, but it's been from before that time that I know about. Now you imagine how much garbage it is on the ocean floor or floating around, because I don't believe these cruise ships, when they take stores in whatever port they're leaving from, and going to a destination and coming back to that port, that they brings back that garbage to those ports. Anybody can tell me that, I will call he or she a liar outright. Number one, I don't believe that they have anything on them ships, kind of like an incinerator. They're going to create fire and all that kind of thing to burn up this garbage. Crap again. These ships, each and every one of them, each and every one of them, Navy, war, it doesn't make any difference to me, ships dump their garbage into the ocean that is polluting other countries. They know it. They get away with it. Now, Cayman is very much involved in this registration thing. They need to find out what is the happenings with this garbage that all of these cruise ships and all of these bulk ships and these cargo ships that come here, what they don't do with their garbage when they leave port. That's a question. Easy question. And if the government can't get it answered, you may short out of that, probably get it answered.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, caller,
we
for
have
that.
a good day, sir. Good to hear from you.
Nice to hear from you again also. Let's take a commercial break. We still have another caller. We're going to ask that caller to hold on. We will take your call as soon as we return from this commercial break.
Rotaract Blue Cayman Islands Fred Spears Walk Run 2019. Early Sunday morning, March 24 at the Holiday Inn Resort, Crystal Harbor, West Bay Peninsula. Registration begins at 6 a.m. Walkers step out at 6:30 sharp. Runners leap ahead at 6:45 a.m. Your entry fee is only $25 CI. All proceeds go to the Fred Spears Vocational Grant. Visit CaymanActive.com/Fred Spears. Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
I remember playing at 7 Mile Beach as a boy, eating mango by the sea, learning how to snorkel. My mother, she worked so hard to provide for our family so that we could have those moments. Seeing her age has been tough. That strong, capable woman, now in need of daily support, it's my time to be strong for her.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Hi, I'm Colin Lumsden, the Georgetown manager and head of the Revitalization Initiative. Our capital city is the heart of business activities in the Cayman Islands, and we would like to bring it back as a center of social activities, with street-side cafes, green spaces, improved roads, and proper walkways for interconnectivity. The new cruise and cargo port is part of the plan and will allow for operators to meet passengers dockside with less lines and overcrowding. Cargo operations will be less intrusive. There will be pedestrianized areas for people to safely walk, shop, and dine. Modernizing the cruise and cargo port is a key element in the efforts to revitalizing our capital city.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning again, for the record, and good morning to the Honorable Ezzard Miller.
Good morning, Doc.
I just want to let you know that there are a few of us who want to have some meetings in the different districts concerning this committee of the UK Parliament.
Okay.
Their special committee about
whenever you want to come north side, let me know. I'll get the Civic Center for you, and I'll be there to listen to you and make a contribution if you want me to too.
I was just going to ask you if you would like to make a contribution to it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. Just give me the date and time, and I'll book the Civic Center and make all the arrangements and get it publicized in the district for you.
Yes, thank you. And I would just like to know if Mr. For the Record would allow us to come on to the radio to discuss it also on the radio.
We will certainly arrange for that to take place on a Wednesday. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Okay.
Excellent.
That's appreciated, sir.
Excellent. To the caller who, prior to Dr. McField's call, in relation to the garbage, just did some Googling and says, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, that's in the U.S., in the course of one day, the average cruise ship produces 21,000 gallons of human sewage, 1 ton of solid waste garbage, 170,000 gallons of wastewater from showers, sinks, and laundry, 6,400 gallons of oily bilge water from the massive engines, and 25 pounds of batteries. And then there's some people have asked the questions, for instance, do cruise ships dump their garbage in the ocean? And the answer says some trash dumped in the ocean washes ashore with the winds and currents following the beaches. Under the current Caribbean regulation, ships can begin dumping garbage, including metal, glass, and paper 3 miles from shore, as long as it is ground in to less than an inch. So that was one. Where do airplanes dump their waste? You're in this industry, Mr. Miller. Let's see if they're right on this. Is it under normal circumstances, the ground crews dispose of sewage after the plane lands, even if the pilot and flight attendants wanted to empty a tank mid-flight, they couldn't, as the valve is located on the outside of the plane and can only be opened by the ground crew. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
Okay, good.
You see these big yellow hoses that is connected up to the planes and stuff.
Okay. Where do all the poop on a cruise ship go? And it says, in fact, according to the latest cruise ship report card by Friends of the Earth, they might be about the worst. These floating resorts dump over 1 billion gallons of sewage into the open ocean every year. In a sense, every cruise is a poop cruise. Let's take a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning again, James Miller.
Good morning again.
Only 1 minute, but there's a question I've been asking on several talk shows at different times, and I cannot get an answer, which makes me more determined to ask it again. Why not Red Bay for the port? It's less traffic, as the Stingray City, all they can go through Governor's Sound, Governor's Harbor up there. Harbor Hurleys. Less congested traffic. The schools will be in session, and then give the children opportunity to see all the schools and churches up there, hospitals, and such that they never see going 7 Mile Beach. You can create a beach there 2 or 3 times or more the size of public beach, which is already overcrowded. So why not have the harbor, the cruise ship dock at Red Bay? So, Mr. Miller, if you don't know, please, you can never define that question for me. Right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
The simple answer is the government will give no consideration to the proposal by the mariners who put together a plan to put the cruise berthing facility in the Red Bay area. And they even included a causeway from the roundabout above Hurley's out to service the port and back in along South Sound. I think it was some in the vicinity of the actual launch and ramp there, which would relieve that whole bottleneck at Hurley's. But to the best of my knowledge, the captains that put about that design, and I believe the actual drawing up of it was done by Mr. Barnes Connolly, have not been privileged to make a presentation to the government and given in the consideration of it. That's all. That's to my knowledge. I have a copy of it, and it looks to me like a sensible plan. And it would be an all-weather, all-year, 24/7 port.
Okay. Next caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor and Mr. Miller.
Good morning, sir. Nice to hear your voice.
Thank you. I just want to comment on that, not the last call about this, the cruise ship and the garbage and all kinds of things. It's been many years since I've been out there, but they don't dump the garbage in the ocean anymore. They got incinerators, and holding tanks and other facilities too that they do its garbage, because the Coast Guard comes aboard. You have to keep a logbook of every time, the record of every time that you pump your bilges, latitude, longitude of it, and no, it's very strict on that. It's very strict on that. The garbage, and in fact, I believe. I'm not sure, but because this is nothing new, this technology is nothing new. From World War II, they used to have these grind their garbage, because the submarines could follow the ship. If the garbage, you just throw the garbage over the side, and then they could see floating, and you know what direction the ship is going. But if it's ground up, it
sinks.
It sinks, and it dissolves in the ocean. So, and because that could be a solution to our garbage here too. You know, we could grind, compose some of that, and make it much less. But I'm familiar with what this gentleman was saying about. I know that was an old time where on those ships they used to have this container over the side, but they can't do that anymore. That's been outlawed, and there's in the U.S. and the U.K. and most they're very strict on that, because the Coast Guard comes aboard in U.S. ports every few months, and you have to present that logbook to them of your activities. I just thought I would just mention that.
Very much, Captain Paul, for that. And you know, with all of the whistleblower legislation that many countries have as well, they have to be extremely careful if they don't follow it, because there are rewards for whistleblowers in those instances. So the incentive is there. If someone, a crew member or someone saw something going wrong, that they could report it, huh?
But wasn't it a couple of years ago that some cruise ships had to pay some fines for dumping garbage at sea? Yeah.
Well, and one of the other questions is whether or not cruise ships recycle. And it says here cruise ships employ some of the most innovative recycling, reducing, and reusing strategies in the world. It says they also recycle on average 60% more waste per person than the average person recycles on shore each day, adding up to more than 80,000 tons of paper, plastic, aluminum, and glass recycled each year. So looks pretty good. We're getting almost to the end of your time on the show this morning, Mr. Miller, unless you want to stretch it some more, but I want to give you an opportunity to cover any subject that or any topic that you may want to.
Well, just to encourage the parents of the East End and the Ezzard Miller Primary School to go for the sports day today and support the people. I'm going to try to make my way up and as early as I can. So.
Okay, and there was a question. Ms. Susan, there was a question that we had maybe on the WhatsApp. Someone wanting to know about the alliance that had been announced by you some time ago in relation
to
progress. What's the position update on it?
What I announced was we would be working on it this year, and it's a work in progress.
Okay, because they wanted to know who the members and stuff like that are, and that's information that they will be able to get later on. I think work in progress. Okay, well, Mr. Miller, I want to thank you very much for being here this morning. I don't know if you're going to participate in the sports day in terms of parents or anything like that. The races, the croquet-sac race, the egg and spoon race.
I remember one of my old schoolmasters, Mr. Gray, telling one of my best friends in school, a 69er, that don't run. I think you will fall apart. I believe that I would pull a few muscles if I went out there and tried to run a 100-yard dash, but. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All the best for the weekend.
And thank you for having me.
Okay.
And look forward to everybody enjoying themselves and having a safe weekend.
Thanks for being here as well. Folks, please stay tuned. We will certainly have open line after Mr. Miller's departure as well. That will be as soon as we return from this commercial break. So please stay tuned.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore.
Rotaract Blue Cayman Islands Fred Spears Walk Run 2019. Early Sunday morning, March 24 at the Holiday Inn Resort, Crystal Harbor, West Bay Peninsula. Registration begins at 6 a.m. Walkers step out at 6:30 sharp. Runners leap ahead at 6:45 a.m. Your entry fee is only $25 CI. All proceeds go to the Fred Spears Vocational Grant. Visit caymanactive.com/Fred Spears. Rotaract Blue. Inspiration to the next generation.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before we go to the phone lines, just in case you didn't hear it, because this announcement was made real early in the show, Mrs. Lina Smith will be 96 years old on the Sunday, the 17th of March. She was born on the 17th of March, 1923. She resides in Cayman Brac. She was between 9 and 10 years old when the 1932 hurricane devastated the Cayman Islands. She's still cooking her famous fish rundown, and I believe up to a few years ago she would still go out fishing as well on the Iron Shore in Cayman Brac. She still makes coconut oil, and her famous saying was, if hard work could kill anyone, that she would be dead a long time ago. And when she's talking to you, one of her famous refrains is, you had better believe it. Let's go to the phone lines. And again, happy birthday to Miss Lina on Sunday when it comes. We have a caller who has rejoined us. Caller, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning again, O.C.
Good morning again.
Yeah, man, I didn't get to finish my my speech there at that time.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
What I was going to say. Now, I know that we have quite a few seamen registered here in Cayman. The Seaman Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that can verify what I'm saying about this garbage thing.
Yeah, and Captain Paul didn't he didn't dispute that at all. What do you say that is no longer the practice?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That is no longer the practice.
Right.
No, the thing is, you got to investigate where these clever people put that stuff now. That is still polluting the garbage, the waters. You imagine how much stuff you got to collect out on the side, the beach and all that kind of stuff, from things floating in, floating up, and dropping on our beach and stuff like that. Caymanians don't do all that kind of stuff, you know. That is stuff that is coming from out. Everything like what I said, they're not gonna make up any fire on the boat to burn this stuff off. They probably got shredders and stuff like that, and then just open a little hatch and send that down to hell with it. That's the way that story is. And trust me, that's exactly how the island is getting so much garbage. It can't be human beings walking down on their shore from some other country, dumping their garbage down on the shore and don't get caught and all that kind of stuff, and they make it drift on other people's country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, caller, what you also want to recognize that there are many vessels out there who are flying flags of convenience because to get away from certain types of regulation. There are so many private vessels that are out there. There are, private yachts and things. We don't know what they're doing as well. So that vast ocean out there is really an area that is not properly and very difficult to police it properly. So I do agree with you on that.
You know that I know what I'm talking about when I come down to that. Trust me. I'm not afraid to be a seaman, I was. It is.
That's a proud occupation.
Yeah, I loved it, man. That was my hobby. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that.
If something is being dodged with these exclusive shipping companies with this garbage, trust me, and it needs to be checked on. We are in the register of recently these ships. Cayman got to send somebody, not send a foreigner to examine your stuff, Send somebody that came on, they got to know, go to see what it is wrong with it, and then report to you. That's what you got to do.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Thank you. Any more calls, Ms. Susan? No calls. Going back to Tradewinds, my favorite Tradewinds newspaper. A few shows ago, I spoke about the fact that when the Queen in 1966 visited Jamaica, we had a delegation that left from the Cayman Islands to join the celebrations in Jamaica. That delegation was led by the administrator, Mr. John A. Cumber, and there was a poem in the Tradewinds newspaper by an anonymous writer in relation to that. So, since we're going to have the Prince here on Prince Charles here on the 28th of this month, I don't know if someone else will pen a poem, but here was the one that was penned then. Caymanians, Caymanians, where have you been? We have been to Kingston to see the Queen. Caymanians, Caymanians, what did you do there? We looked and we looked and we had a good stare. Caymanians, Caymanians, what did you pay? Not 1 penny. 'Twas a real giveaway. Cancer victims, what do you cry? I have so much pain, I think I shall die. Cancer victim, send for a nurse. Oh, to be without money is really a curse. For hotel bills and airline fare, couldn't the government furnish a lot of free care? If this situation were known to her queen, wouldn't she rather alleviate it than see and be seen? So, what that anonymous writer was basically saying there, that they believe that if the Queen knew about the pain, she would advocate spending money on the sick as opposed to spending money on seeing her. Just want to say that while we're making preparations for the Prince to be here, make sure that we address the needs of the people as well in terms of apportioning, if not equal attention, then more attention to the needs of the people than the ability to see a member of the royal family here in the Cayman Islands and to have him open edifices and everything else. We know that there are staunch monarchists here in the Cayman Islands, and we would not want to deny you the opportunity to see the family of the monarch and for you to pay your respects as well. So we would not want to deny that at all. Equal opportunity for everyone. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir.
Very interesting from you. It's good that my friend Jimmy called in about that and what he's talking about. And that Captain Paul would more or less add some clarity to that. Clarity. A lot of things have changed over the last 60 years or so, especially the Marine thing. I know Captain Paul has told me private conversations, you and I, about that already. He talked about that, the differences now with strict regulations and so forth, those places. And you're right, there are ships that are all kinds of registered, and I mean, the other things. You couldn't monitor that. It's a huge ocean out here. You couldn't monitor everything.
Yes.
And the sea cleans up itself, the whole time captains used to see it. And they used to clean it, wasn't it, blowing tubes and so forth. And on the north side, I think you used to find these little granules of crud and stuff like that. And that's what Captain Chisholm used to tell me all the while years ago, that it was, from that, blowing the tubes, cleaning them, all the tubes and so forth. With regards, to what Dr. Steve was saying, and Honourable Opposition Leader Mr. Miller was is that, getting them together, community meetings would be a very good thing.
Yes, yes.
To do at the same time, we could educate our people also on what obtains at present. I know I've said this before over and over, like this thing sounds like a broken record now, or a long playing record, I think is what he told the judge. That our people don't really understand what it means to be. I call it a crown colony because I can't say we can call it anything else. And His Royal Highness is coming to visit Crown land. It's not what government land is called.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. So, Crown land. It doesn't say government land or the United Kingdom's government's land. It says Crown land, which is Her Majesty.
Yeah.
And we, of course, as I talked about with the passport issue, many times, I wonder how many people have really read that fine print. It must mean something or they wouldn't put it there. And the change from this passport belongs to Her Majesty's government in the United Kingdom, to this passport remains a property of the Crown at all times. It came in with the new passports. It's all there. And the British passport for the British people say the same thing. The exact same words. I've matched it word for word with generational British citizens' passports. It's the same thing. So there must be a reason for this. And we're talking about this commission that is saying we should be allowing British people to have the right to vote. And we heard about that from within the European Union thing some years ago. They did talk about it, and also that would give access and allow European Union citizens moving from one country to the other that's in the European Union, that they would have those same rights, and that would have extended to us also if Britain remains in European Union. So it would not only be them, it would be those people, different languages, totally different customs. At least we have a lot in common with the United Kingdom. But this is things we should think about when we say, oh, it's bad, Brexit is bad, but I've always thought that Britain should never have been in that from the very beginning. But anyhow, I would like to say we need to educate our people about that also. There were countries with the garbage thing that used to have open sewage not so long ago down their streets. That's no longer there. So we have progressed with a lot of those things. But we talk about moving from, the situation we are, just becoming independent. I think that's an overnight thing. No, it cannot be. It cannot be. And people say, well, Constitution calls for that. Our Constitution as we have it now would not be relevant as an independent country at all. The first thing you have to do is write a new Constitution before you even go independent. You have to have it here that people know what this is. Mm-hmm. If you decide not to go independent, at least you have the Constitution prepared. I think Bermuda did something like that many, many years ago. They still have that document.
Yeah, well the British did that for the Bermudans, but at that time, when the Bermuda Constitution in 1958, 1959 Constitution, caller, you want to bear in mind that Bermuda was run by, it was basically controlled by the colonials, white colonials. The universal adult suffrage in Bermuda didn't take place until 1968. Prior to that, only the land-owning class could vote. So that constitution, while they say it's a pre-independent constitution, it was designed for white Bermudans only. Just want to remind you of that.
I understand all that, but it still was a clear advance. It allows all to more or less fall under that same thing. But I'm not saying that we had the same situation here, though you could sort of see so too.
Yep.
But that's what happened also in the big island of Jamaica many years ago. It was totally, even the civil servants and so forth. But I'm saying it takes quite a lot of preparation it takes, because one thing we don't have, which is very, very important, we really have no natural resources. We, the people, are the only natural resource only that we really have.
Caller, I'm going to have to interrupt you there because we have to go to a break. My apologies for that, but I want to thank you for your points of view as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
The 2019 Spring Labor Force Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The Labor Force Survey collects data on unemployed and employed people. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO on 516-3329.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We've closed off the phone lines now because some of my friends have complained and said that our theme song at the close, that they're not hearing it anymore. And that's because we go on until 10 o'clock, and most of the times I'm still talking up until 1 minute before 10, so there's not enough time for it. So we're going to try to have this all done properly that you can enjoy all aspects of For the Record. One writer has written and said, "Good morning, Mr. O.C. The committee for the people-initiated referendum," I think this has to do with the cruise port, "keeps saying that the government is not being transparent and not giving all the information. I would like to ask them, why is it that they are not being transparent with their information? Why can't they answer the question put out by many as how many signatures they have? Is it that the numbers are too small, that they do not want the public to know the true status of the signatures?" That was someone's observation. You heard me read earlier the poem written by anonymous rider to the trade winds in 1966, 17th of March, 1966. I, on previous occasions, mentioned the fact that in the 60s, mid-60s, the government appointed a person who was called a PRO, Public Relations Officer. The person who held that post was Mr. Ernest Panton after his retirement as assistant to the then commissioner. So he writes, I'm certain that we all read with interest the reports on the visit to Jamaica of Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. The arrangements of the program for the royal visit went off exceedingly well, and all those responsible for all the planning are to be congratulated. The delegation from the Cayman Islands, headed by the administrator, Mr. and Mrs. Cumber, was very warmly received by the Jamaican government. That Her Majesty should have had it so arranged that she and the Duke could meet the delegation in block is something that should go down in the annals of our history. This particular event makes history in that although quite a number of honors and awards have in the past been given to Cayman Islanders, on no other occasion has the reigning monarch in person presented the insignias. So, our heartiest congratulations to go out once again to the Honorable D.V. Watler, Assistant Administrator, who received the insignia of OBE, and to Miss Beulah Smith and Nurse Annie Bush, who received the badge and certificate of honor from the Queen. It is a pity Mr. F.O. Hill of Cayman Brac found it impossible to attend the function and receive his similar distinction. Our first royal visit was by the late Her Royal Highness Princess Royal in Her Majesty's yacht Britannia. This was followed by the visit of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. One of these days, the Caymans will have a visit from Her Majesty, and her welcome will be no less enthusiastic than that given her by the people of the islands she stopped at in her recent Caribbean tour. Some comment has been made in the press and on the streets about the cost from public funds of sending the Cayman delegation to Jamaica to meet their gracious Queen. Such expenditure should not be looked at in terms of money, but rather as the wise, quote-unquote, wise men's gift to their sovereign. Our delegates paid homage to the reigning monarch and her consort. There is no telling what the impression gained by them will mean to their children and our people, and even greater, no telling what Her Majesty's government will do for us in the future as a result of her having met and talked to her people from the Cayman Islands. Well, if she's ruling over people, she should know about them. She should know about all of the people that you rule. When you have your household, you know all of the occupants of the household, you know their names and everything else, right? Don't you? Right-thinking Caymanians, that was part, I say, that wasn't in the PRO's report. Right-thinking Caymanians at home and abroad feel that we have a small place on earth where we can live in peace and quietness and enjoy the heritage handed down to us through our connection with the British Crown. Visitors think we have a pleasant spot. They like our form of British government. They like what we have to offer and our way of life. This generation calls upon us to show our patriotic duty, our willingness to sacrifice and endure as those before us who sacrificed and endured. In this rests our national life. God Save the Queen. That was written by the PRO. And I will ask the rhetorical question, do we really feel the same today? Do we really feel the same? Based on how we see the British Parliament treating the Cayman Islands as well as the other overseas territories, do we feel the same? Do we now recognize the fact that the British monarchy is more ceremonial than anything else? So in the old days when we would hear people say, oh, we should write to the Queen and complain about this and complain about that, I believe you can write to the Queen and complain again today, but I am not sure from a constitutional standpoint, of course, the UK's unwritten constitutional standpoint, what she would be able to do for you. What we have now is a situation between the peoples of the overseas territories, in particular the people of the Cayman Islands and the people of the United Kingdom. As one of our callers likes to remind us on a regular basis, we are a crown colony. They may call us an overseas territory. They may have called us before that dependent territories. But at the end of the day, we are still colonized by the UK. We are still controlled by the United Kingdom as well. We are now being controlled by people who do not understand us, and in many instances do not want to understand us, do not want to know about our way of life, do not want to know about our heritage, do not want to know about our religious beliefs and our religious tenets that we have here in the Cayman Islands, do not want to know about those who yearn to take control of their own destiny. So, what do we do about things of that nature? You tell me. You get an opportunity to do so, either on For the Record or other talk shows hosted by Radio Cayman as well. And I encourage you to continue to take advantage of that opportunity and let your voice be heard. Whether you're in agreement with what is said or what people say, or whether you have a different view as well. With that, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. And Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.